my beautiful and blessed souls. Hey, I welcome you, and I'm so grateful that you are here with me today, sharing this space, and I'm truly blessed that you are here inside the group of the Heart of Grace Oracle readings. As I said, I'm super grateful that you're all here. So today I have a little bit of a special video for you. This was something that a couple people had asked me about, and I'm going to explain kind of in a series of videos about crystals and how we use them and how we're selected and all of that kind of thing. So before we begin on this first part, I just invite you to take a gentle breath in and out. Just a soft inhale and a slow exhale. There's no rush here. Today, as I said, I wanted to talk to you about crystals. Not in a complicated way or a mystical way that feels kind of out of reach or out there, but in a grounded, heart-centered way that feels supportive, practical. Now, one of the things that I want you to know is that crystals are not about perfection. They're not about doing spirituality right. They're about support, intention, and remembering your own inner wisdom. So, what are crystals? What are they actually? So, at their core, crystals are part of the earth, right? They've formed over time, sometimes over millions of years, under pressure, heat, and stillness. And because of this, many people experience them as stabilizing, grounding, and gently attuning. Crystals don't fix us. They don't override our free will, and they don't do the work for us. Instead, they act like gentle companions. They help us focus, soften, clarify, and become more aware of what's already happening within us. Think of a crystal like a tuning fork for your energy. It doesn't force anything. It simply helps bring awareness and balance. So when we talk about healing with crystals, we're really talking about supporting the healing process. Healing can look like emotional release, nervous system calming, feeling grounded during stress. Who doesn't need that, right? Creating a sense of safety, gently opening the heart to compassion. A crystal can be held during meditation, placed nearby while resting, or even kept in your pocket for those stressful or complicated days. The healing that happens, it happens in a subtle kind of way, through calmness, awareness, and presence. For example, if you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, and I do this a lot, I hold a crystal while I breathe. It slowly allows my body to settle down again, and the crystal becomes a physical anchor, reminding me to stay present rather than kind of spiral into the future or spiral into the past. It allows for me to anchor. It allows for me to calm myself. And in a lot of ways, it allows me to get a grip again on my emotions. Now, healing does not appear dramatically when you're using crystals. Sometimes it arrives quietly through consistency in using it and kindness towards yourself. So it's also in a space of non-judging and just kind of allowing your body again to relax. So sometimes you use crystals for emotional support. And I just want to let you know that if you're wondering how come sometimes my eyes are going down, there's a lot of information on crystals, and there's so many things that I want to tell you. So I made myself notes so that I don't miss anything that I think that you would find important. So sometimes that's what you're seeing when you're seeing me look down, or if it looks like I'm reading something. Yes, it's because I don't want you to miss anything, especially kind of on how to use crystals and how they benefit you. So I do have my notes in front of me. So crystals for emotional support. Many people are drawn to crystals during times of grief, times of transition, or emotional exhaustion. And it makes sense, right? Crystals can act as comfort objects, emotional reminders in order to keep ourselves grounded, to kind of help us to remember to breathe, and even just something to hold on to, because sometimes we're feeling like we're kind of spiraling, or that, you know, we don't have control over anything, or we're kind of feel like, you know, there's nothing to grasp at. And sometimes holding on to those crystals in your pocket or having one in your hand as you're calming yourself down. And sometimes they are symbols for self-care and gentle boundaries for your energy. Because if you're kind of like me, and there are so many people out there who absorb other people's emotions easily, a crystal can remind you to pause, can remind you to ground and come back to yourself and not get caught up in all the different energies that could be around the room. And simply holding a crystal and saying to yourself, I am allowed to feel safe in my own energy, can shift your energy, your body, and your emotions more than what you might actually expect. So what about crystals and spiritual guidance? Crystals are commonly used for spiritual guidance, not because they give answers, but because they help quiet the noise. Have you tried meditating or kind of trying to slow yourself down, and your mind is going 1,000,000,000 miles an hour, and the mind is loud, and your intuition, or being able to seek your own answers, can feel very distant? Well, you can use the crystals, and that helps to create stillness. You have something to focus on, something to hold, something to just, sometimes just something to rub. You might use a crystal when you also pulling oracle or tarot cards, journaling, meditating, praying, and asking for clarity before making a decision. And that doesn't mean just big decisions, but even just little decisions. You know, something that you just need that calmness, that clarity. Holding the crystal while asking a question isn't about the crystal answering. The crystal is not going to necessarily answer you. It's about slowing yourself down long enough to hear the inner knowing. Spiritual guidance often arrives as a feeling of a nudge, a sense of, this feels aligned. Crystals help you tune in to that frequency. So let's talk a little bit about clarity then, because many of us are craving that right now. Who isn't? Honestly, I can definitely say I look for clarity all the time, especially if I've been going through something that is a little bit dizzying or something that's been a little bit complicated in my life. So yes, it not only works for everybody else, I use it all the time too. Mental clarity doesn't always mean having answers. That's another thing. Often it means feeling less scattered. Again, holding on to that crystal or having it beside you or having it around you when you're meditating. It also helps to bring you more present and trusting the next small step, right? Letting go of overthinking. Who is guilty of that? Oh, my Lanta. I overthink about things all the time and definitely need to be brought back into my own grounding. Using a crystal for clarity can look like placing it near your workspace, holding it, as I said, during journaling, meditation, prayer, or keeping it nearby when you feel mentally overwhelmed. Again, the crystal isn't creating clarity. It's helping you access it. When your nervous system calms you, your thoughts naturally organize themselves again. So, how do you work with crystals without overthinking it? This is not complicated. In fact, actually, it is very, very simple. One of the most important things that I want you to understand today is that you don't need to be an expert in order to work with crystals. You don't need elaborate rituals. You don't need dozens of stones. You don't need to memorize all their meanings. What you can do is that here are a few simple ways to work with them. Hold a crystal while breathing deeply. That's it. Place it on your heart, your stomach, or in your lap. Keep it on your bedside table. Carry it with you during the day. Set an intention quietly or out loud. Your intention with the crystal matters more than perfection. It matters more than just the technique that you're using. If a crystal feels comforting to you, that's all you need. So that brings me to the next thing. How do you choose your crystals? What does that even mean? So one of the things, and this is the most truthful, and honestly, even before I really knew too much about crystals, I've always collected crystals. And honestly, I would look at their meaning. But most importantly, the crystal usually chose me. That's right. The crystal usually chose me. It was something that I was drawn to, usually because of its visual beauty, usually just because just something pulled me towards it. You might also pick up a crystal and it just feels comforting to you. It's letting you know it's for you. And there's also the possibility that it's like, you go into a crystal shop or you're going somewhere and you pick one up and it just feels wrong. And that's okay too, because your crystals, like I said, oftentimes your crystals will choose you. So if it doesn't feel right, and you just put it down, or you go into the store thinking you want this because you've done your research and you want this one and this one or this one because this will help with this, and you go to pick it up and it just doesn't feel right, leave it behind. Find the ones that you're drawn to. You might not know why you're drawn to that particular one or those. And that's okay, because you don't have to know. It's just something that you're meant to pick up. Trust that pull. You don't need logical reasons for energetic attraction. Let me rephrase that, or let me say that again. You don't need logical reasons. Suspend those sometimes, especially when it comes to picking your crystals, because that's something that you're just going to be drawn to. Your relationship, I also just wanted to make note on this too, is that sometimes your relationship with a crystal will change. And sometimes what you need right now is not the same thing that you need 6 months from now. And if you lose a crystal, and this has happened not only to me, but this has happened to several people. In particular, this has happened to my daughter a couple of times, where she has had a crystal and all of a sudden it'll disappear. And she cannot for the life of her find it. The thing is that it's meant to go away. If you've lost the crystal and you can't find it, either trust that it'll appear when it's supposed to again, or just that time for that crystal is over. If you feel called to release that crystal, again, it's just go with that feeling. So what about cleaning and care for those crystals, right? Caring for your crystals, it's not about stress. It's not about ritual. It doesn't need to be stressful. Just again, kind of keep these things in mind and take what resonates with you. Some people cleanse their crystals by putting them in the moonlight, putting them out on a windowsill, and recharge them in the moonlight, using sound, setting a simple intention, or visualizing light going into them. You don't need to do this consistently or constantly. Let it be intuitive, not obsessive, right? Crystals respond to respect, not perfection. Remember, we aren't perfect. And those crystals, they respond with the love and the care that you have for them and the respect you have for them. Not a weekly timetable of cleaning and clearing and doing that. Intuitively, you'll know when the right time is. So I just want to gently say, because this does matter, is that crystals are supportive tools, not replacements. And this is highly important, is that crystals, while they are amazing and incredible supportive tools, they're not replacements for medical care, for therapy, for professional support. And this is the great thing about crystals, is because they work beautifully with other facets of care, other forms of healing, not instead of, because there is absolutely a place for medical care and for professional healing and professional help. You can use all of these supports at different times and all together. So as I close today, I want you to take a moment and I want you to notice how you feel right now. A little softer. You might feel a little bit more grounded, maybe a little bit more informed. Or maybe you're a little bit more curious about what else crystals can do for you. do with you and how you can incorporate them every day and in everything. So in upcoming videos, I'm going to share kind of more focused conversations around kind of the more common uses for crystals for specific intentions, kind of like in situations like setting and holding healthy boundaries, breaking habits and patterns, relaxation, and calming the nervous system. I'm also going to talk about in future videos spiritual connection and your intuition, emotional healing, and self-trust, and a lot more. There's about 8 or 9 different topics that I would really love to cover in different videos. Now, they won't be as long as this introduction video, and they'll be dropped at various times. So the next videos will also be practical, gentle, and empowering so that you can work with crystals in the best way that works for you and in ways that it feels supportive and not overwhelming in any way, shape, or form. So until then, remember this and keep this top of mind. You're already intuitive. You are already worthy of healing, and crystals are simply one more way to remind you of the wisdom that you carry within. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to this introductory on crystals. And I also just wanted to let you know that I will be following up this video with some reflective questions and some affirmations that you can hold on to. So anyway, thank you everybody. Thank you for checking this video out, and I hope it answered a few of your questions. If you have more questions or you would like even further detail, contact me. Just leave a comment below and I will get back to you. So stay tuned for the next video. Have a wonderful day. Mwah. Bye.